Welcome to Easy English by Eddie Singh, and today we are going to do Class 10 Literature Miscellaneous Question Answers for board exams. You will ask Manish why the board examinees are now preparing for board exams, so they might be revising their literature lessons. So this assignment will help them prepare and revise their lessons quickly, thoroughly, and that is why I have been discussing today some questions from different chapters from literature, and that certainly will help them prepare and revise their lessons. All right, ask questions, Manish. Well, what is the first question, Prince?
What is the wedding guest said to be a 3 years child?
Why is the wedding guest said to be a 3-year-old child? That is the question. The wedding guest is said to be a 3-year-old child because he was totally mesmerized by the ancient mariner. He was not able to, do anything other than listening to the ancient mariner. He was completely mesmerized and behaved like a 3-year-old child. That clearly suggests that the act of mesmerization was so intense on the wedding guest that he behaved just like a 3-year-old child listening to his grandparent any sort of story. Next question, Prince.
Why did the ancient mariner stop the wedding guest?
Yeah, the ancient mariner was tormented with the guilt of killing the bird, and he was always regretting. So he wanted to lighten his sorrowful heart by narrating his sorrowful story to someone. In order to narrate his story to someone, he stopped one of the three wedding guests who were going to attend a wedding feast. Next question, Prince.
How did the ancient mariner appear?
The ancient mariner appeared like a long grey beard and bright-eyed mariner. He looked completely self-conscious, and there was some sort of, seriousness in his eyes. He looked like a person who had really been tormented. Perhaps he was troubled by the guilt of killing the bird, and that is the reason why he looked completely, troubled and absent-minded. Next questions.
Why was the wedding guest not ready to listen to the old man?
Yeah, the wedding guest was getting late for the marriage feast. He was going to attend the marriage ceremony of one of his close relatives. As he was on the way to attend the feast, he was getting late, and that's the reason why he was not in a position to listen to the ancient mariner's tale. Next question.
How does Coleridge use themes of nature?
Coleridge. How does Coleridge use a theme of this poem? Coleridge makes use of, metaphysical science in the poem to describe the theme. The theme is that a person who is tormented with guilt is bound to suffer the whole life. It appeared to the mariner that he was carrying the dead albatross all throughout his life, and that is the reason why St. Coleridge describes the mariner's conditions as a self-conscious man who is always rushing to and fro to describe himself. The way he is narrating his story suggests that the mariner was completely guilt conscious and was trying to get rid of the regretting facts, and that is the reason why the poet often describes him as a bright-eyed mariner, long grey beard, self-conscious, tormented, and completely lost in thought. Next question, please.
What are the other elements that create a feeling of horror in the poem?
Yeah, the way the ancient mariner is describing the sea, the silent sea, the way the ancient mariner is describing the weather conditions, it appears to the narrator that he has deliberately introduced some elements. The way he is creating the, sound, he's describing the, the thundering sound of the weather, the thundering sound of the, splitting of the icebergs, and the deliberate use of the sound words like roaring lions, howling, all these sounds have been deliberately created to create fear in the mind of listener. Next question, please.
Mention the other thematic elements. that the poet uses in the poem?
Yeah, the other thematic elements the poet uses are the use of pun. The word albatus had been used for two different meaning. One is the bird, another one is the cause of trouble. The albatus in the neck of the ancient mariner became an albatus for all the mariners. That means the albatus in the neck of the ancient mariner became the cause of trouble for all the mariners, and that is the reason why the word albatus has been used. Secondly, the other thematic aspects are that a human being is bound to suffer his guilt sooner or later. The ancient mariner, is being presented or depicted as a man of subconscious nature, and the supernatural elements like the changes in weather condition. The poet describes that the mariners were, frightened with the rays of light, the fluorescent light that was coming from the sea. It appeared to them that the dead albatross was just like a ghostly soul and was chasing them right from the land of mist and snow. And they were, just haunted by fear. The changing color of light appeared to them as if a witch was performing some kind of magical traits in the sea, and they were all frightened with the changing color of sea. So the theme of the poem has been described in two ways. One is the act of mesmerization and use of supernatural elements such as the changing color of water of the sea, and the second one is the sin that the ancient mariner has committed by killing the bird, and that has been the cause of the suffering of the mariners. So a man is bound to suffer the guilt of doing something wrong throughout his life, and he is reminded by carrying the dead albatross throughout his life. And that is why at the last the mariners hang the dead albatross around the neck of the ancient mariner as a reminder of his misdeed. Next question, please.
How is the beginning of the poem a stark contrast to the ending?
Yeah, the beginning of the poem is totally in contrast with the end of the poem. In the beginning, we see that the narrator starts describing how the mariners were given a warm welcome by other fellow sailors. The way they went on sailing very nicely. They reached the church below the lighthouse top without any trouble. The first part of the journey was quite pleasant. They were supported by the south wind, but the end of the poem is totally in contrast, because in the end we see that the fellow mariners hung the dead albatross around the neck of the ancient mariner as a reminder of his sin, and the poem ends in a tragic way where we find that the ancient mariner is carrying the dead albatross throughout his life, and that was the reminder of his misdeed. So there is no correlation between the beginning of the poem and the end. However, there is one thing common, that the entire poem has been a manifestation of metaphysical science, naturalism. At one hand, the poem is admiring nature, the rising sun, the presence of the beautiful weather conditions, the appreciation of the coming of the sun from the lap of the ocean, and on the other hand, the metaphysical elements such as the mesmerization by the ancient mariner, the act of, changing behavior of all the other mariners, and the coming of the albatross and the way they received, all this appears to be totally influenced by metaphysical science and metaphysical elements. So there is a blend of naturalism and supernaturalism in the poem. Next question, please.
The sailors are fickle minded. Justify this statement with reference to the poem, The Rime of the Ancient.
Yeah, the sailors were completely fickle minded. Fickle minded means they went on changing their mind, they went on changing their statement. In the beginning, they condemned the action of the ancient mariner, saying that he had done the most sinful thing in killing the bird that made the breeze blow. They believed that the arrival of the bird was auspicious to them, as it brought changes in the weather condition and they could steer away their ship. And just after the weather condition became better, they changed their comments significantly, saying that The ancient mariner had done a right thing in killing the bird that brought fog and mist. So this clearly suggests that they went on changing their comments without giving any thought to that, and this suggests that they were fickle minded. Next question, please.
Why did the poet feel honored in spite of being afraid?
Yeah, this is the question from the poem A Snake. You know, D.H. Lawrence, highlights one thing, that the coming of the snake to the poet's, water trough was an honor to him. He felt honored because a snake had made a visit to his water trough. So, as any other human being or as any other host, the poet felt honored to receive the snake at his water trough. Next question, please.
Explain the line. Was it perversity that I longed to talk to him?
Yeah, the poet is in dilemma. He puts a question to himself, or rather, makes an introspection by asking himself whether it was a perversity to, talk to the snake. How could the poet expect that he should have a conversation with a creature like a snake? This was certainly unnatural for him, and that is the reason he starts questioning himself whether it was out of fear or whether it was out of perversity that he wanted to talk to the snake for a little more time. That is the reason why he regrets that he had thrown a log and made the snake disappear without, giving a thought. And by doing so, he has lost a chance to appreciate the beautiful creature like the snake. Next question, please.
Explain. And depart peaceful, pacified, and thankless.
Yeah, having drunk water, the snake departed from there and went into the crack once again, having been pacified and having been totally satiated with his thirst. He didn't make any, violent movement. He went into the crack in the wall very peacefully without making any gesture to the poet. That is the reason why the poet felt annoyed, because the snake had disappeared into his hole without giving him thanks. Next question.
Why does the poet call his sign of pittiness?
Yeah, the poet feels regretful at making the snake disappear. He realizes that it was sheer act of meanness or pittiness that he had lost the chance to appreciate this beautiful lord of nature, the snake, by throwing a log upon him. And so the act that he did by throwing the log upon the snake is sheer pittiness, or it's a sign, or it's a gesture of complete meanness. And that is the reason why the poet regrets at his action.
Why does the poet make an allusion to the albatross?
Yeah, the poet believes that his action of throwing a log upon the snake is just like the ancient mariner act of killing the bird albatross, because in both the cases there is some sort of commitment or some sort of mistake being committed by both here in the poet, and in that case the ancient mariner, and in both the actions have been sinful and unwanted, because there was no need to throw a log upon the snake, because by doing so the poet has lost the opportunity to appreciate such a beautiful creature of nature like the majestic snake who has paid a visit to his water trough. And that is the reason why he makes an allusion between these two situations, the situation of killing the bird albatross by the ancient mariner in the poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and the situation of throwing a log upon the snake to make him disappear by the poet in the poem The Snake.
In stanza 2 and 3, the poet gives a vivid description of the
Vivid
snake,
description.
vivid description of the snake by using suggestive expression. What picture of the snake do you form on the basis of this description?
Yeah, the snake appears like a majestic one, the king of his own exile. The poet described the snake as the one which is just like the king, the lord of his own. The lord of his own. The snake came to his water trough and drank the water like the cattle drinks water from the water sources. So the way the snake lifted his head and saw the presence of the poet, but without bothering about the poet's presence, the snake went on drinking his water. See, so the comparison of drinking cattle from the water sources and the comparison of the snake drinking water from the water trough, there is a similarity, and that similarity suggests that the snake was quite unafraid of the presence of the poet, and he didn't bother who the person was and who was witnessing his presence. He went on drinking water quite fearlessly and drank to his full. Drank to his, and this is the last question, Prince.
Do you think the snake was conscious of the poet's presence? How do you know?
Yes, the snake was quite conscious of the poet's presence. He saw the poet standing there, but he didn't bother about him. He went on drinking water, drank some more water, and quenched his thirst without giving any consideration to the poet's presence. Had it not been so, the snake would have disappeared from there quite quickly. But the snake gave time, drank water quite slowly. Took the water through his two forked mouth quite silently and slowly without making any violent movement, and drank to his full. This clearly suggests that the snake was quite conscious of the presence of the poet. Thank you very much.